Okay.
So another group is the OTA, because I'm an occupational therapy assistant, and it's an OTA group for entrepreneurs. And so I posted in there, and she responded, and she was saying that she joined and she was coming. So I mean, I don't know her, but hopefully she comes, because she was 70 and she was a swim instructor, and she wanted to teach. She wanted to have a swim class. I was like, oh my God, this would
Wow.
be perfect for her. So I hope she makes it.
Absolutely. And
I hope
especially,
she makes it.
Michelle, and with you saying that, what a lot of people don't realize is age can make it even more desirable for funders. The fact that she's
Mm,
70 and teaching
mm.
swim is a whole lot different than a 25-year-old.
Right, 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 right.
And so she can go after other funding that that 25-year-old cannot go after.
Okay.
So, but see, the thing is that a lot of people do not believe that grant funding can help them or the nonprofit arena. And so, even with you sharing, and I invite all of you, please share the recording link on your networks so that people can, though they didn't register.
Right.
I just had a meeting last Wednesday, and so I wanted to remember to tell you to feel free to share this link since it's a free class, because a lot of people just don't believe that it could apply to them. And that's why, based on the questions that you guys asked, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than what I normally would for this free session, because I want you to understand really what's available. Let's see some.
And that's what I kind of mentioned to her in the post. I was like, because she was wondering why people never did respond, just in that group in general. I said, well, people really don't respond to the post. I said, I think for me, just for my own thought process, they probably
Uh-huh.
think that whatever they're wanting to do, it's not attainable. Um,
Right.
but then
Right.
that's why when I post, I put me personally, that I did it and I'm
Uh-huh.
doing it, and
Uh-huh.
it's so attainable. But it does help if you have an idea in mind versus just
Yes.
going off of a blanket. Just let me just see, because then you'll be all thrown off. But if you have an idea, it's perfect for you. It's
Right.
extremely attainable, and my cousin is awesome.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I'm so glad you
I
think so.
so think so.
Well, that being said, I'm going to go on and share my screen. And let's see. Where'd it go? Okay. I dug a little deeper to try and show you guys even more info today based off of the numerous questions. Come on. My computer is moving a little slow. I've rebooted it. I rebooted my internet was spinning instead of going on and opening the PowerPoint to the full screen. So give it a moment. And I want to thank all of you that sent in questions, because you sent in some really great questions. And for some of you that didn't send questions, I thank you for being on, because what you said is you just want to be that fly on the wall. You want to tune in that way. So hold on. Why am I not opening? Come on. There we go. So all right. So again, I'm really glad to get the response that I've gotten, even though I think it's only like 19 people that registered. You guys, you probably saw that if I didn't get a pretty good response, that this probably would not continue. There's a lot of things that I do, like this free class. I've even given pro bono, coaching. And I get questioned by my board, Sherita, why are you doing this if you're not getting that much response? You're giving too much in kind. You wear your organization on your sleeve. You give too much away versus charging for our classes. And I wanted to show that there are people that will be on this session. So our next meeting, I'll be showing the questions that were asked, the people that were on, how broad it is across the nation, to show that we are getting the reach and that this session is being helpful. So thank you guys for enrolling. So let me just move right on. Brent from West Valley City, Utah. His question is, working on getting SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance. I'm hoping that's what that means. I know in whatever industry that acronym could mean something else, but I looked up SSDI and I assume that that's what you're speaking of, Brent. And it says, are there any grants available to have websites developed for disabled? Now, Grant, this question, the way it's written, is kind of difficult for me to answer because there's different grants for different things, but it depends on what you're wanting a website for. So what I did is we just went and did a little research on different sites that are there to help disabled with different kinds of things. So, and I will give you guys these links that I have. I will share them in the session recap so that you can go to these links. And some of them, if I'm out of my presentation mode, I'll just put them in the chat. But Dreamscape is an organization that focuses on helping individuals with disabilities. But as I read more in their site, a lot of their focus is for those that have a disability with vision. So I don't know what your disability may be. And again, based on your disability, there's different kinds of funding. So this organization, Dreamscape, let me put my menu up there. Dreamscape Foundation believes in order for the disabled to be successful, they must be empowered to meet their educational and employment goals. However, in order to do that, there are certain disability needs that we as a community must provide. So when you go into further in their site, they'll let you know more about what it is that they're providing, but they're saying despite the existence of the American Disabilities Act, the disabled community is still experiencing a wide accessibility gap. So again, I will provide this link to you. And then also this organization, resourcesforme.com. I didn't want to go in and put my info in their database because I didn't want to start getting their information, but you will be able to do that. And as you can see, there's a link below, Brent, that I will share so that you can check out their information. But now I'm going to come out of the PowerPoint and I'm going to show you just a couple of ways that we did a search. I'm going to go to Google. And I don't have my screen open, Brent. So if you're on the call, can you chime in? Let's see.
I am listening.
Well,
and you were correct. You were correct on the Social Security disability.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. You know what? My browse screen. I'm trying to see my. Let's see. I want to share my full screen. Share now. So now, Brent, is it a physical disability like walking? Is it eye? Is it medical? You know, what kind of disability are you looking for funding? Are you talking to me, Brent?
He's on mute.
Brent, can you be a little clearer on what you're looking for? Well, here's like, see how I found Dreamscape? I just typed in grants and disability. So I found Dreamscape, Joshua Har Shane Foundation, the Rose Foundation. So you can just do a simple search like this in Google and it'll bring up different funders that fund for different kinds of disabilities, different kinds of projects for those that are disabled. So I hope that that's helpful for you.
It is. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me. I just put headphones in.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me go back. So I'm going to put those links in these couple of first links. I'm going to put them in the chat. This first one is Dreamscape Foundation. And again, I've never worked with them. I don't know what they do in depth, but I'll share this in the chat. And you guys can just copy them out of the chat. Others may be interested in them. Come on, where's my chat? There we go. So that's Dreamscape. And this other one. Sorry, my computer's moving really slow. So I put that other long one in the chat. So now, Terrence, Now, Brent, that was your only question, right? Because I didn't see, try to always scroll down and look at everyone's full screen when you submit.
That was the only one that I put in. I just,
Okay. Okay.
off the
Just
top of my head, that was the number one.
okay. And you guys, as I move forward throughout the presentation, if you have a question, you can also stop me as I'm talking about these other questions. So, Terrence in Riverside, California. Question 1, best place to see what grants are available. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you what I use, which is the Foundation Center directory. And now in the past few years, they've gone under Candid, but I'm going to show you they have different plans. Their professional plan, if you pay annual, it's almost 1,600 a month, a year, or $219 a month. And you can go monthly, or now the plan that I use the most, we pay the $54.99 a month. And that works for us with all the grants searching that we do, with all of, and to get you started, there are thousands on top of thousands. You can even see here, 242,000 expanded grant maker profiles, 2,300,000 recipient profiles, 1,200,000 key decision makers, and even down under essential, 111,000 expected grant maker profiles, 400,000 key decision makers and leaders. So there's a lot of information that you can acquire by using the Foundation Center directory. Now, someone asked, do you pay a fee to file for a grant? No, here you're getting the membership to have the access to their grant database, but all the grant funders that you will find in this database, you don't pay them to submit their grants, okay? And then Terrence asked on question 2, are there any fees for the grant application? And I just answered that. But in addition, now, in most instances, no, but there may be some exceptions, like for an Arthur grant, for instance. Like I've seen an independent organization, maybe they got, a $500,000 grant to help authors to develop their books. So through that grant, now they want you to apply to them to be a part to submit. And I've seen them charge like a $25 fee to apply for their particular grants. Let's see. He is requesting to record this meeting local. I am recording this meeting and will provide the recording to you. Okay. And so let's see. In most instances, and I was responding to a question that popped up in my chat. So Terrence at Riverside. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Sherita. You said you had put links in the chat. I don't see them. I don't know if I'm missing something or somebody else.
Sherita, you actually sent it to me directly because I had sent you an earlier one, so you just need to copy it and paste it.
Hey, Natalie.
Hey.
I didn't realize that it went directly. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Copy link. And let me put it in there. Thank you, Beverly. Everyone meeting. So there's that one. Copy link. Did you get them now, Beverly?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. Okay. So now, question 3, what questions should I be asking? Now, Terrence, are you on the call?
Yeah, he's up there.
Okay, Terrence. Now, when you say what questions should you be asking, are you talking about what questions you should be asking as far as the grant funder, or are you talking about filling in the grant application?
I'm referring to what questions would a novice not know that you as a professional would know that I should be asking, either or.
Okay, what I've done is I'm saying here, let's review some of the sample questions. See, you're not asking them the questions. When you are filling in the grant application, you're answering their questions. So that's
Okay.
why I'm thinking that's what you were saying.
It could also be, what questions should I be asking you that I wouldn't know I need to be asking you?
Well, it's all, most people are asking questions as pertaining to what their interest is. Like, Sherita, can I get a grant to, get an 18-wheeler truck? Or can I get a grant to pay myself to run my projects? So it depends on what it is you're wanting to do, on what your questions will be. Because there are no stupid questions, first of all, Terrence. And then secondly, the questions are so vast because the nonprofit arena is the third largest business sector in the United States. So there are thousands on top of thousands on top of thousands of different kinds of nonprofits. So your question would be based on what it is that you want to do. And you will see further how broad that can be as I go through the presentation. So again, stop me if I'm going down a rabbit hole that's not what you were talking about. But I'm going to go over to this link. And the reason why I like to do this on as a PowerPoint is for you guys to see that I'm not just answering the questions off the top of my head. I like to show you different websites that speak on this. So, like, here's an example. Think and Link Grant Consulting. 5 questions funders will ask on every grant application. Every grant application, okay? Tell us about your organization. So they want to know your mission, your target audience, collaborations are current and past, like who have you worked with on projects before? Past grant wins, if you've gotten any grants before, or even in kind, meaning did someone donate equipment to you? Did they let you use their facility space for free, or at a discounted rate? That's an in-kind donation. Again, and they want to learn more about your leadership. So who are you? And also understand that to all of you, when they're asking about you and your experience, they're not talking about just what you're planning to do in the nonprofit arena. They're talking about what have you been doing in your career? Who have you been working with? What are some of your accomplishments? Maybe you've received awards for something. Because what it does is it shows them, do you have the ability, the experience to manage the dollars that you're getting ready to request from them? So to go back in your history, looking at your resume is very important. Another question, what problems or issues or community need are you addressing? So you may have heard of a needs-based statement, and a needs statement is where you want to explain what your organization needs or why. Now, sometimes your needs will be talking about why you're asking for the grant for operations because of the equipment that you need, but still understand that what are you going to do with that equipment? Who are you going to serve? And how is that going to address the needs that they need addressing? So this is what you're talking about in this section. Your needs should be based on quantitative research and a documented community need, like you're pulling statistics on why you're saying there's this need exists, okay? Number 3, tell us about your problem, your program or project. So this is where now you're going to explain, what is your project going to do? Like, you're asking for equipment. With that equipment, what are you going to do with it? How is that project going to be sustainable? Who are you serving? What is the timeline of your particular project? And then what expenses are associated with this project, meaning your staff. Let's see, we'll ask for actual budget spreadsheets. And we're going to go into a little bit more based off someone else's question. We're going to go a little bit more about your budget. And then how will you measure your impact? Or like a lot of funders will ask, what is going to be your deliverables? So after you've created your program or project, whatever it may be, what's going to be the positive outcomes of that program? So these are the main questions that are asked. So does that clarify that for you?
Yeah, that's some great information. Thank you.
Great. Let's see, I'm headed to Knott's Berry Farm and driving, so I'm leaving. Okay, I got your message, Brent. Let's see. Next. Now, have you guys been seeing my screen moving? Are you seeing my screen? Did you see all of this?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't have it, that it wasn't locked. Because sometimes when I jump over back and forth, I'll hit something and not be showing my full screen. So next, that answers that one. Next, we have Michelle in Houston. And Michelle, you have asked, let's see, how can you ensure that you're really answering what the funder is asking? Like, what is your thought process? Okay, so Michelle, again, that's kind of the question like I just answered. So with any grant application, again, I don't care if it's a 5-page application or a 30-page application. You're really only answering 5 questions. Who are you as an organization or individual? And let's see. Uh-oh, I hope this isn't one. Just a minute, you guys. Is Sherita, may I help you? Yes, I'm on the call. Yeah. Oh, okay. So are you getting on the call or what are you saying? Okay. Well, whatever you've missed, we've got it recorded. Okay, bye. Okay. So who are you as an organization or an individual? And again, they're talking about your resume and what have you been doing prior to now? Okay. So that's your past, your current experience, your achievements, and your collaborations, like like that sample question said there with the on the document that I showed you. Who is your target population? Now, you've got to learn the language of this arena. A target population in the for-profit arena, it's called your clients or your customers. So who are you going to serve as you're developing your programs? So like Michelle, you deal with seniors. So your target population are the aging, depending on where they are. What is that, 60 and over, 62 and older? So
Yes.
that's pretty much, and the disabled. So, and then what problems or issues will your programs address? Well, you're working with the aging at an opportune time, because since baby boomers, it's constantly reported that there aren't near enough programs to serve the number of people that are starting to become seniors. Excuse me. So this is a perfect time for you to be serving this target population. And then the problems and issues. Many of them, we're dealing with dementia at record numbers right now. Many seniors are dealing with loneliness and depression. And Michelle, you and I have talked about it, that seniors are one of the highest growing depression and suicide rate. So that would be showing up in your problem or your need statement. And then number 4, what are the expected program outcomes? Well, with you going and sitting with these seniors, playing games, doing all the things that you do, helping them and taking them on errands, that's helping combat loneliness, depression. It's helping stabilize them as far as their mobility in case they are prone to falling. With you there as a caregiver, that's helping with that. So there are so many expected outcomes. And then based on what we're saying here, how much money do you need to do what you say you're going to do? Are you wanting to hire staff? Are you wanting to buy new games for what you're going to do? You talked about getting the seat thing that helps them go from the wheelchair over into the car. What's the cost of that? And so those are the things that we would talk about even later as I talk a little bit more about budgeting. And again, you guys stop me if you have any questions. And so Michelle, here also, like I went over to the other site, 26 common questions grant funders often ask. Let me share this with you all in the chat. And I'll go over to that screen also. So give me a moment. Let me get over there. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me just explain something that a lot of times when we're answering the questions as far as for funders, we don't realize that the funder questions are a good thing, as it means that the funder is actively interested in hearing more about your organization. So just think about that as you're answering these questions. They really want to know who you are, what are you doing, and that's how that's going to help them to decide who gets their funding. So again, let's review some of the questions and let's see, look at the chat. It's clear. Window. Okay, so some of these common questions. Let me scroll on down. Oh, and also when I give this to you, this is a sample template. Blank was founded in blank with a tax exempt status. Our main facility is located at blank with outreach centers in blank. So this is a good template for you to see how to talk about your organization. Now, common questions. How long have you been around? And how did you get started in this work? What are your achievements to date? And again, do you hear the redundancy? So you guys, most grant applications are redundant. They're asking you the same questions. They're just asking you in a different way. Okay. What are the achievements to date? So that's talking about who are you? You know, what is your past experience? What are your goals for the next 5 or 20 or 25 years? Well, that's a lot. Next 5 to 25 years. Wow. Who makes the decisions? So again, that's why they're asking about who's going to be your staff, what is their experience, who is responsible for running the organization and or making financial decisions, who serves on the board of directors. Natalie, chime right in.
So basically what you're saying is once we really create the information, or we already answered most of this information when we did our 1023 for the nonprofit, right? To get the actual status. So basically we're just giving them we're giving them that information and updating that information as well. So as long as we have that one boilerplate, we can plug in the information per their questions.
That's exactly right. That's why I did your paperwork the way I did.
Exactly.
And that's why, Natalie, I was saying you should not need a grant writer with the way that I did your nonprofit paperwork. Right. Now, later, you do want a grant writer. When you start bringing in revenue, you don't want to continue to be the one that's going after your grants. You know, it's ideal to then get a grant consultant or hire a part-time grant writer on your staff. But initially, like any company, it's important for you to understand how to go after your own money. And that's why your paperwork was done in the way it is. Okay. And you're just recycling your information, but updating as you do new things and have new accomplishments and new collaborations, new grant funding coming in. Maybe you got sponsorship. So your documents are always in motion. They should always be updated. The same way a business plan should never remain exactly the same. If you got a business plan done in 2020 and it's exactly the same now we're going into 2024, something's wrong, because you should constantly be in motion and changing your organization, updating based on the needs of who your clients are, or like in the nonprofit arena, we call them your target population. The same way, think about a perfect example is the YMCA. Young Men's Christian Association, which was developed over 100 years ago. Well, their focus has totally changed. If it hadn't changed, their organization would not have survived, because when the Y was created as the Young Men's Christian Association, it was developed to address a need that was happening when farming was switching, farming and agriculture was kind of switching and more manufacturing was coming in. And so those that were farming were now not farming as much. They're traveling from their farms, coming into towns to work in factories. Well, that was a long haul. So instead of them having to travel back home, they could stay at the YMCA and shower and sleep. And so it was the Young Men's Christian Association. But today the YMCA is doing so much more. Why? Right? So they rebranded. You now, unless it's an old facility, instead of seeing YMCA, you just see the big Y. because they serve more than just young men and Christians. They have childcare, they have after school tutoring, they have women's programs. And even after the war broke out, when they were during that time when it was shifting from farming and agriculture to manufacturing, when the wars broke out and men left, the YMCA would have shut down, right? If they didn't change to meet a demand. Now women are leaving the farms, needing to come in and work in the factories. They said, remember Rosie the Riveter? So they started having to change to help train, do job training for women. Then with those women working and men away, the kids can go astray. So what did they start doing? They started developing youth programs so that, and they called it latchkey kids, so that the kids now have somewhere to go instead of being at home by themselves and getting into mischief. You guys with me? Did you know that about the YMCA?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. So any questions before I move on? So I'm going to put this link in the chat and you guys can come back to this page. Let's see, put my chat.
Sherita, I have a question.
Yes.
You know, since you mentioned that was a Christian organization, do you find that there are many grants that can be for Christian-based themes?
Absolutely. But
Okay.
now, not to just grow a church, but there's
No.
nothing wrong. Like there's a lot of Jewish foundations that only give to Jewish-based organizations. So there is funding for faith-based when you are just helping someone to grow spiritually, but not just trying to grow your numbers in your church. Why? Because studies have shown that individuals that believe that there is a higher power than us, studies have shown that people that believe in, that have a strong spirituality, their marriages last longer, the youth do better in school, leadership skills are stronger. There's all kinds of statistics that follow those that have a strong spiritual belief. Okay. Any other question as far as that?
Well, specifically, we have a Bible college and we're looking to be able to provide scholarships for folks who want to learn more in that area. So does that fall into the examples that you were just giving?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like for instance, let me see, let me come out of this screen. Come on.
Sherita, thanks for the YMCA analogy. I had no idea.
Oh,
No
you're welcome, Jackie. And you know what? What a lot of people don't realize, we wouldn't know Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, any of those magnificent players in the NBA, we would not know if it wasn't for the YMCA. Do you know why?
Wow. Why?
The YMCA invented basketball.
Did it?
And they invented it by mistake.
Wow.
See, the YMCA was at KU Medical Center. James Naismith was a coach at KU Medical Center. And their rugby team during the winter, they wanted to keep them in shape. And they had a gym. And so the dean of KU Medical Center tasked him to keep them in shape, but it had to be a sport that was no contact. It had to help them control anger. It had to help them to operate as a team. So what he did, you guys, and it is the most amazing story. He took a peach basket and put it at, you know how those old gyms, they had a track around the top where you could run?
Yeah.
You guys have seen those old gyms? Well, what they did is they took a peach basket and put it at each end of the gym. And it was someone that was up there because it wasn't a hole in the peach basket because they were going to reuse it. And they used a soccer ball. And so they developed teams and they could toss the ball to each other or dribble, but they couldn't tackle and bump each other like they were playing football. And when they shot the basket in the basket, that was a point. But it was years before they started. I mean, you know, they didn't immediately cut a hole in that, but that's the beginning of basketball. And it was, I think, in 1894, I think, that it was created at KU Medical Center. I mean, KU, Kansas University in, where's KU? I forget.
I don't know, but the story is amazing.
Huh?
That is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So
I swear I learned something new every time I talk to you. You're just awesome.
Well, thank you. I was getting ready to show us how to identify what subject was I talking about, you guys? I'm sorry.
Had asked about the Christian education and
Oh,
being
yes.
able to
So
provide
grants,
scholarships.
even clergy. Do you know there's major grants for clergy? Especially, I mean, the Lilly Foundation alone will pay school, will pay your YMCA membership or your exercise, wherever you go to work out. It'll give they'll give you dollars to go on sabbatical and pay who covers you at your church. I mean, there's just crazy money.
And what
Okay.
was that called?
The Lilly Foundation.
The
But
Lilly
like
Foundation.
in the search, I just did grants, clergy. And look
Mhm.
what comes up. Margaret Casey Foundation, the Rose Foundation, the Community Seed Grant Program, Minority Grant money available, National Clergy Renewal Program, grants for clergy. Now, let me just put in the Lilly Foundation because it's one of the biggest donors for clergy. Lilly Endowment has made grants totaling 11 million to 19 Indianapolis human service organizations to help them adapt their programs. So that's just one, okay? So there's so much that is available. Now, grants, theology. See? I mean, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back to what I just typed. See how there's grants?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about knowing what you want to search for, and I call them your tickler words. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
And let me even type in a large number, million. Lilly Endowment, 1.25 million grant. Let's see. Staten Hall University, NTS receives 1.25 million from Lilly. Columbia receives 1.24 million grant. And to see, these aren't old, these are 2023. Mm-hmm. Here's one from 2021. So yes, there is funding available. Union Theology Seminary receives $1 million grant. Lilly gives 82 million to theological schools. St. Paul secures transformational $1 million grant. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
You are welcome. So let me go back over. Any other question while I'm over here in this screen?
Okay. I do have a question, just a general question in regards to foundations and giving out grant money.
That's Natalie in Los Angeles, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm sorry, who was I speaking to a moment ago?
That was Juanita Smith.
Oh, Juanita. Now, Juanita, you're in what, Florida?
Tampa, yes.
Tampa, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Natalie, what were you saying?
Yes, so I've been told that a lot of grant makers do not per se give you what we would call startup, but in this case, operational monies, right? But that there are foundations that do. You touched on something earlier about when we're writing up things, and I think it's about what you write up, because you said, well, if you're going to buy equipment, well, tell them what program it's for and why do you have to do it and yada yada, and maybe that's how we should be looking at it when we're looking for that startup money or the monies that go toward operational things.
Okay, do you see the search I just did? And I'm going to put quotes around here so that these words don't separate, to make sure that there's funding just for seed money. That's for a seed. That's for organizations that are new, that are less than 2 years old.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's funding for seed money. There's funding for program development. And see, wait, just when I'm typing, look at all the categories that start to come up. See down below?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So there's a lot of grants that are available just for development as a new organization. Now, there are some organizations that might say, We only want to fund for this project organizations that have $1 million or high budget. So there are some that may have a high not ceiling, for their minimal amount, but it just depends on the funder. But remember, funders are investors, and many of them understand that in order for you to be operational and to sustain, you need startup money. But also understand that nonprofits also can go after small business loans, just like for-profits, to get you going. Okay?
Only question about that is, if the nonprofit is a public company, then who's responsible? Is that the board members? Is that the, I mean, who do they base their credit criteria on? Is it the founders? Okay.
That's why they're asking, who are you? Just like in
Okay.
a business plan, when someone starts a new business, who are they basing it off of when they're going after a small business loan?
Gotcha.
It's the exact same thing, you guys. That's why when people think that nonprofits are so different, they aren't. You just can go after other investors, which are grant funders, that most for-profits can't, because you've gotten your tax exempt status, so that those that want to give and have a write-off instead of getting money back, they can write it off because you're a tax exempt organization. But also, if you are not a nonprofit, but you want to go after grants, you can operate under someone else's nonprofit, and they call that a fiscal agent. Okay?
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that way, they're the main thing is that funder wants to be able to write the money off. And so if you are a tax exempt organization, if you're not a tax exempt organization, you can again, you can go up under a fiscal sponsor. The grant funnels through them to you. It's just like a funnel, and the water funneling through. And that way that funder can still write off the money, and it funnels through to you for your programs. It's like getting a co-signer. Maybe you couldn't get your first car by yourself. So then you go get your dad or your uncle or your mom to come with you to the dealership. They fill in the application. Now you're getting the loan through that co-signer, so that you can drive off in your car. It's the same concept. Okay. So now, I think it's Denny from Port St. Lucia, Florida. I hope I'm saying it right. Now, I didn't understand this. What is the question?
You know what? I'm really happy that I'm here, but this isn't what I thought it was. So my question isn't really relevant for this.
Well, humor me.
But if you do understand, I'm saying I'm an OTA, and I have a specialty in aquatic therapy. I also have taught swimming for the past literally 50 years.
Okay.
And now that Medicare is requiring on-site supervision with an OTR, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to do aquatic therapy again. I obviously can't pay an OTR to drive around with me to go different places to do therapy. So that was my question. So it doesn't sound relevant to what you're talking about.
Now, you're talking about aquatic therapy.
Correct.
Which is the same thing that a YMCA does. And they get funding all the time. So I'm showing you here how there's funding available for aquatic therapy.
Yeah.
And then depending on, now you've been doing it, you said 50 years.
I've been teaching swimming for 50 years. I was an aquatic director. I put myself through Rutgers with a full-time job as a YMCA aquatic director and swim coach. And this is what I've been doing ever since. But now I personally have a disability that has slowed me down a bit. But the main thing is now that my concern really is now about OT supervision to do aquatic therapy. That's why I feel like that's taking you off the track of what you want to talk about.
Well, nothing can take me off track. Now, tell me this. Who is your target population for your aquatic therapy? So you see here, CPS awards more than 2 million in pool safety grants, view grant opportunities. Novio Foundation awards 1.1 million. NIH guide grants. So there's funding for what you're doing. And because of how long you've been doing it and who you're serving, that puts you even in a better position. Because even though you're doing aquatic therapy, what else are you helping them with? Communication skills. I mean, combating loneliness. There's so much other outcomes that comes from what you're doing that you can even step into those pots of money.
Yes.
Can I intervene just for a second?
Yes.
This is Michelle. Hey, Debbie, this is Ramona, Michelle, the one that sent the message on Facebook. And because we're both in therapy, I understood your question, whereas Sherita didn't. So for me, what I'm doing, because when I do my organization is working with the seniors, because as OTAs and doing home health, that's what I mainly deal with upper body stuff with seniors. So for me, I've just taken the therapy part out of it, because although with the therapy, I'm in the senior's home, helping them become more independent with their cooking or bathing or whatever. So outside of therapy, I'm just regular me, still doing the workouts, still doing the activities, still doing whatever I'm doing, just not putting the name therapy on it. So you can still do your swimming, you can still teach, you can still do all of that, still helping the seniors, because you're still helping them do whatever. It's just not therapy. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So you can still do what you do, but you won't be a therapist doing it. You'll be just Debbie doing swimming fun stuff geared towards.
Like I was before I went to school to be a CA, right?
Yes. So you wouldn't need OT to be there to assist you, to give you a plan of care, because there is no plan of care, so to speak. You're just there because they want to improve whatever they want to improve by doing so in the water.
I got it.
You see on the screen where I typed in YMCA Senior Aquatics?
I do.
USA Swimming Foundation has awarded $647,000. And so depending on what you're doing, if you're doing just therapy, you can look for therapy grants. Other than that, you can just look for senior and aquatics grants. You guys, that's why so many YMCAs have their Silver Sneakers program.
Yes.
Because they've gotten a grant to cover what they would need from the seniors as membership.
Right.
So you can do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
I hear you. Thanks.
That help?
Jenny, can I offer you just a word of encouragement?
Absolutely.
When you stated that you didn't think it was what you thought it was and that it didn't apply to you, always remember there are no mistakes in the universe. God does not make mistakes.
I think this applies. It was more that I didn't want to take anyone off track into my very specific thing.
You are exactly where you are supposed to be.
No question. I'm not doubting that.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be here.
And that's why I say, stop me and ask me a question, even if it's not related to what I'm doing right then. Now, I may have to have you help me get back on track, but I like for you to ask the questions while it's on your mind. And so I just scrolled down a little bit more for you to see another YMCA, Meridian, receives $100,000 grant for group swim lessons at Martino or whatever that is. Hannibal YMCA receives 140, and the YMCAs are only showing up because I typed in YMCA. But let me take off YMCA so that you don't think it's just the Y receiving the grants. Okay. So there's it's there. The money is there.
Wow.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you again, really.
Let's see. Is there, any other, I lost my 501c3 due to my accountant. Can I still apply for grants? This is a question that came in on the chat. Again, most funders are going to want you to either be applying for the grant through your own 501c3 or use a fiscal agent. So now, depending on how long it has been, if you in losing your 501c3, if you've caught it soon enough, the IRS will resume your status with you filling in your application again without paying the $600 fee again. If not, they're going to require that. But if you're not ready to get your nonprofit reactivated, then you can use a fiscal agent, and that way you're not limited. But most funders do want, grant funders want to fund through a 501c3. Okay.
You know what, Sherita?
Dominique, is your hand up?
Oh.
Yes, who's that speaking?
That was Natalie. Just
Okay.
just to reiterate that when it is a third party's person, when you do, well, let's just say LegalZoom, when you do trust in LegalZoom to handle your affairs with the IRS, you have no recourse, right? Even though they're down as your agent of service.
Well, for
And
one, I always
responsible.
recommend that you be your own agent of service. That's different. An agent for service is someone that receives your mail and that kind of thing in place of you, in case you're not in your state. That's
Correct.
agent service. And I've seen that LegalZoom does that a lot. But what I've said to my clients is, you don't have to have them as your fiscal agent. You can be your own fiscal agent.
Right.
Legal agent.
Legal agent. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Absolutely. That's the way I think.
Yeah.
Because you're if most people don't realize that when someone else develops your nonprofit, like Natalie, when I did yours,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times people will make themselves your legal agent. That way they keep charging you a fee to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And all they're doing is funneling your mail or getting your mail and letting you know what's due next. You can do that yourself. So, and I'm not trying to take business from anyone else. I'm just saying that you can serve as your own versus someone else doing it for you.
No, I'm really glad that you guys just give a testimony here. Sherita saved me over and over dealing with the nonprofit and 501(c)s and just putting it all together and just keeping it streamlined. And yes, I did start down the road with LegalZoom, and LegalZoom did such a bad service. I had to fight with them to get my money back. But I'm so glad that I did as I was told by Sherita and became my own agent of service so that I could stay up on everything that goes on with my own organization. So I would definitely heed doing things your own, or calling Sherita before you spend a lot of money you didn't have to.
Well, thanks. Well, again, like someone else had an agent for service because they didn't live in the state where they incorporated, so they had someone else receiving their mail. Well, they ended up being suspended because their corporation, because they didn't respond in time, because that person was receiving their mail and didn't respond in a timely fashion. So again, I just always recommend, incorporate in your own home state and serve as your own agent for service. Dominique in New Rochelle, New York. Can you explain the difference in establishing your nonprofit as an Inc. or as an LLC, or is it purely a personal decision? Well, you can become a nonprofit as an LLC, but you've got to make sure that you have the same language that's required from the IRS, which is saying that you are going to be a public charitable organization and that kind of thing. Now, the reason why I recommend that you go on and develop it, reclassify and become a C Corp instead of an LLC is in many states, you don't have to have board members. And when I'm developing your 501c3 or even coaching you, I want to coach you to help you also be fundable by grant funders and sponsors and donors. And many of them ask you about your board of directors and your regular meetings and that kind of thing. Well, as an LLC, you don't have to do that. And you think that that's a good thing. But if you're wanting to operate and go after funding, then I'm trying to let you know what your funders are going to be looking for. Okay. And so that's why anytime when I've done a 501c3, we incorporate as a regular C corporation, which you end up being tax exempt, because a lot of people don't develop C corps because of all the taxes that may be burdened on them in their particular state. But when you are a 501 tax exempt organization, you're exempt from that. Okay. So here is where I'm giving you a little info from where I found from the IRS. And they say the IRS recently issued Notice 2021-56, which sets forth standards that a limited liability company must satisfy to be, must be recognized as tax exempt under 501c3 what you have to do, again, request comments from the public. That's where they're requesting comments, but I wanted to show you, oh shoot, I didn't bring that over. This is where they're talking about being an LLC. Can your members also, do they have voting rights or not? And so you're going into a lot more things that's allowed by an LLC that as a C Corp, once you just have a regular board of directors, you're avoiding all of those other things that are required when it's an LLC. So Dominique, did that help?
Yeah, that definitely answered my question. So thank you for that. And I kind
Okay.
of got into, I think
Now
I
I've had
did that.
clients where they kept their LLC and then they went on and filed a C Corp for their nonprofit. So they had a for-profit and a nonprofit. So that's also. Now your question 2, can you share more about establishing your board? Can they be family members or is there a limitation to that? Well, there's what's called the 49% clause, where no more than 49% of your board should be family or what's called interested parties, meaning those individuals that would be biased to you in the way that you're running the company and not really looking out for the betterment of the organization. So the best example of that, pro-Trump or not, the best way that I could explain that is when Trump was in office and his daughter and son-in-law worked closely with him, whether you were a Trump supporter or not, do you feel like when the son or daughter-in-law was speaking, because of their close relationship, do you feel like maybe they were really speaking on behalf of Donald Trump, or were they speaking on behalf of the United States and looking out for the best interests of the US? If that can be in question, then you want to make sure that your board of director is not top heavy in all those individuals that it could put you and your organization in question. So that's why I'm explaining that 49% clause. If you have 3 board members, only one should be that closely held person or that relative. And the other 2 are unrelated and they can be non-biased when it comes to helping to make decisions for the organization. That help?
Yeah.
So 3, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I forgot that I submitted it. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. 3, is there a minimum amount of members you should have on your board? Well, I say always start with 3 because again, I think about what are grant funders looking for, and that's 3 people beside yourself. Okay. Now, should it always be from different professional backgrounds? Well, yes, you want your board to be diverse. Now, depending on what your organization is doing, okay, a perfect example, when I was at the YMCA in Los Angeles, and at the time when I started at the Y, which was in July or August 1988, at that time, that YMCA, which was in the heart of South Central Los Angeles, was 99.9% African American. But 5 years later, when I was getting ready to leave, the community changed very quickly. It was almost half Latino. So then our board of directors, which at that time we had 23 board members, because that Y had been there a very long time, had a lot of board members, knew how to run their meetings with that many board members. But 23 board members, everyone was Black. So we looked at bringing in, because you want your board to represent who you serve. Also, our board was diverse. So, like for instance, if you have as diverse in their skill sets and their careers. So, for instance, if you have an after-school tutoring program and you're a teacher, funders do not want to see that all your board members are also teachers or administrators from your school, because your board is there to also help bring in resources and contacts. If all your board members are at the exact same place and digging and picking from the same pool, you're not going to have as much success as you could have if your board was diverse and coming from different career backgrounds, running in different circles, that kind of thing. Okay. Davita, Baltimore, Maryland. How can I acquire a property to operate my nonprofit from with little to no capital? Well, there's a lot of organizations that even get their facilities for free. So for instance, I said, yes, you can acquire property for a nonprofit and there is funding for it. Let's review some examples. So like for instance, Habitat for Humanity, a lot of people don't realize They have buildings, they have facilities, and some of them might be leasing, but some, and grants or funding, maybe even it's probably without a doubt covering those leases. Some of them may own their buildings, like the Goodwill. Okay. But I also have examples to show you how there are nonprofits like the Lower East Side Tenement Museum, and they have a retail store. The museum shop probably generates more revenue per square foot than any museum retail location in New York. Gross revenue for the operation has grown from 9 to 15% since eclipsing its $1 million budget in 2012. Okay. The president, who has been president since 2008, estimates that as much as 70% of the museum's almost $9 million operating budget is earned from the income from the store. Okay. So I show this because I want you to get out of your mind that a nonprofit must operate low budget. Let's see, I'm checking my chat for a moment. Great info, Sherita. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. Happy birthday, Dominique.
Happy birthday, Dominique.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you almost made it to being a Scorpion.
Oh, a little bit close. A little bit close.
Miss Sag. Now, I'm showing this one because this is another nonprofit that has a building. And you guys, it's a B&B, a bed and breakfast. So the Blue on Blue, let me give you a little bit about it. Blue on Blue and Breakfast is a unique art-filled guest house for travelers booking an affordable stay in Cape Town. Our B&B provides comfortable 3-star accommodation in the beautiful coastal town of St. James, conveniently located between the city center, Winelands, and Cape Point. By staying with us, you support our nonprofit art and education center, helping people overcome poverty through artistic endeavors. So see, there's all kinds of nonprofits that have facilities. Here's one where the facility space is donated to them. This is in Manhattan, in one of the most high rent areas in the nation. 3 nonprofit groups get a Manhattan deal, $1 a year. But Poets House was selected by the Battery Park City Authority as one of the handful of nonprofit groups to benefit from the authority's public amenity program. All of them have been given leases with the same favorable terms, $1 a year through 2069. And look at their facility. Poets House is a comprehensive poetry library with 50,000 books in its collection. They will be housed in the Soho neighborhood of Manhattan for 16 years. Now, that's some older data because they all ended up getting their facility through 2069. But now, what I wanted to say with that question, can you get a building? You've got to show that you're worthy of the building. Now, sometimes we put the cart before the horse. You might be looking to get a $2 million building. You're a new organization when actually you should be going after grant money that can help you lease a building until you can have a good track record of having a building. It's like when a young person is moving out of their parents' house. Their first apartment would not be a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, right? When they first start out, that's your starter place. They might start out in a studio. They might start out in a 1-bedroom apartment that is more affordable. And that way they can show that they can manage that before they go buy, for instance, a 5-bedroom house. You with me?
Right.
Davita in Maryland, second question. Where can I find private grants? I know to look on grants.gov for the larger ones. So first, what is public and private grants? Public funding comes from the federal or state or publicly funded agency, and that's that at grants.gov. That's public funding. Private funding is awarded by non-corporate or corporate entities like Walmart, Target, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's private funding. And so the same organization that I showed you, like the Foundation Center Directory, that's where you can see all of that kind of funding. Now, I keep showing this one because this is the one that I use. I found it to be most reputable. I'm not talking against any others. This is just the one that I like. But there are others out there like Grant Station. There's different ones that you might want to check out. And then Carol in Conway, Arkansas says, what are the steps to planning project budgets? Answer, your budget helps you to get funding because you can show donors that you know exactly what it costs to deliver your services. It can seem a little overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. So here's a few steps. Decide on your program activities, usually over a 12-month period. So what is the program? What programs will you offer? And then what supplies or equipment or facilities and staff will you need? So you're looking at each budget line item. Do you need 2 staff, 1 staff person to start, and then 3 months in, will you bring on another staff? What kind of, as far as equipment, let's say you've got a yoga program. So you're going to need, maybe you want to start out with 20 students, so you need 20 mats. What else will you need? And so you're thinking through what you need. And then you're realistically, the next one said, be realistic about what you can successfully operate in that fiscal year. And you're not guessing. You are literally looking online to see approximately how many mats, what they cost, and so planning your budgets, you guys, you're doing budget planning all the time. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Sherita, I don't know this is a new program, so I don't know how much it's going to cost. Have any of you ever been to Madagascar?
Yes.
When you were going to Madagascar and you hadn't been before, did you have to plan a budget?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you do? You looked and see what is the estimate cost of a hotel stay per night, right?
Right.
You looked up your airline ticket to see how much your airfare was going to cost to there and back.
Right.
If you wanted to think about the wardrobe, you want a few things. So you don't know what your shirts or dresses or whatever going to cost, but you're estimating what you're going to spend for your wardrobe before even going.
I do that all the time in my tour business. I have to do it.
So what I'm saying is, you guys, you are doing budget planning all the time. And that's exactly what you're doing when you're also planning new programs. So take the fear out of that you're planning a nonprofit and going after grant. Every month you're doing also budget projections for your household. You don't know how much your gas bill is going to be next month, but you're averaging it based on what your gas bill was last month. So it's the same thing. That's why I say just relax and think about what it is, who you need, how long you're going to need them, what kind of equipment will you need? Will you also need to lease a facility? What's the estimated cost of that monthly? Just relax and think your programs through, okay? Answer continued. As far as your budget, estimate expenses for all program activities. Once you have your program activities defined and a list of needs for the program, it's time to get quotes and estimates for each line item you plan to include. For example, if you operate a food pantry and you want to add shelving, don't guess how much those shelves cost. Do some research to find out first what kind of shelves you need for commercial use, because they're going to be vastly different than what you're going to use in your house, okay, to handle the load. Put that number in your budget. Repeat this exercise for every line item in your nonprofit's first budget. Again, don't try to shorten this process by guessing. Stop me if you guys have questions. Question 2, what is the significance of having a 501c3 designation? Well, for one, you're not limited on where you can go looking for dollars, because again, most grant funders that is, want you to have a 501c3. So if you already have your 501c3 designation, those doors won't be closed to you, okay? 3, are there any private grants as opposed to government grants to apply for? Well, there's so many. First of all, there are over 86,000 grant-making entities, with 92% represented by independent foundations. Again, the Buffett Foundation, Walmart, the John and Joan Kroc Foundation. I mean, all of those that's why that's found at the Foundation Center directory. Let's see a visual. Now here, you guys, do you know that 69% of giving is by individuals? 69% annually. That's even those that are giving to their church, And that's why whoever asked me earlier about getting dollars for when I talked about clergy, and I said yes, but you can't use it to grow your church because of this pie chart. See, funders already know that 69% of giving is coming from individuals, and most of that chunk is people giving to their church as far as tithing. So that's why they don't want to double up and use their grant funders to grow churches. The giving from foundations, these are these private foundations. When you're looking at the pie chart of giving, 19% comes from foundations, 9% comes from bequests or bequests, however you say it, 4% from corporations, and then the other is that 69% from individuals. Okay. Now, again, there's that 86,000 grant funders that are under private foundations. Foundation giving is second in charitable giving, like I said, from individual giving, which amounts to 70% of that total. And then foundation giving is second in charitable giving. Like I said, individual giving is 70%. That I'm just repeating that. Here's where I wanted to get. There are currently in government funding, there's over 900 federal grant programs offered by 26 different grant making agencies. And that's from grants.gov. Okay. In 2019, the federal government distributed $721 billion to states and local governments. Okay. That help, Carol? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I actually was sitting back waiting for you to get to my question, but I guess it's not there.
You sent it this morning, right?
Yeah, because I had that difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. What's your question? And I'll address them.
Okay. Well, I mean, Sherita, you know a little bit about my background, and my focus was always in my industry of tourism. But the last 3 years, life threw a monkey wrench because I had to become a caregiver for my mother. And so it's just totally changed. I got off track and I'm trying to get back on track, but I'm on a different track. I say that to say I'm seeing the need for caregiving is off the chain. It's just off the chain right now. And so,
Jackie, I sure wish, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to introduce you to Beverly Fagan that was just on, because we developed her nonprofit and it's specifically focused on caregiving. So I want to link you to her because she wants to take caregivers on retreats.
okay. All right.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Go ahead, my dear.
I could use a retreat. Because I'm just totally overwhelmed. This week I'm better. Last week I was totally broke down. I had a breakdown. I was crying every day. I mean, it was just really bad. And I've had the vision, and I keep saying God gave me the vision, so I know He's going to open the doors, that I need to open up an adult family care. I need to open up an adult family care home.
You also need to get to know Michelle, who's there on the call.
And I saw Michelle, and I see Michelle's in Baltimore, and I'm in Silver Spring. So, well, I'm in Virginia right now, but yeah, I already wrote Michelle's name down.
Michelle, are you showing up as Michelle or Ramona? You're in Houston.
That's Michelle. So I don't know what Michelle she talked about, but I am in Houston, not Baltimore.
You're in Houston. Somebody was in Baltimore, I just saw.
Oh, okay. Well, you two can also collaborate. And matter of fact, Michelle, can you share your information and website in the chat? And that way others can get it. And Jackie, I'll also introduce you to Beverly Fagan, who was just on the call. But I'm also going to start sharing my screen again and show you. And we've gone a little over, so some of you I see that some people have dropped off.
Well, real quick, I'll just ask my question then.
Go ahead.
Okay, because I have the LLC, which I need to change. I've gathered that. But to shift, do I have to, because I know there's a tier. In order for me to open up an adult family home location, I mean, I want a physical brick and mortar. And I'm, going to be divulging into trying to get some seed money to get that up and started. I just feel it's a better fit for my mother right now, as well as me, et cetera, et cetera. Do I need to start over, or can I do an umbrella under my LLC, which basically was directed towards tourism?
Well, your nonprofit cannot exist under a for-profit. They have to be separate entities if that's what you're asking.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's like asking to use your sister's social security number. So that
okay,
you can live in the same house, but you must operate separately. So now, under your tourism, for instance, let's say that you also develop your nonprofit and have tourism under there. You could be taking seniors and caregivers on tourism trips. And that can happen under your nonprofit foundation. So let's say that you have the, Jackie, is it Stratton? How do you say you're at Stratton?
Dayton,
Staten. So you have the Staten International Foundation, and under it you have a senior aging program, and under there you will have tourism where you can take them on trips. You can even take them to Vegas if you want to. You could take them to the Holy Land, Jerusalem, and grants can cover that. You could even take caregivers. So all of that can be up under one of your, like how a YMCA has basketball, camping, aquatics. Under your Staten Foundation, you could have your senior program that has all those various programs while you still have your for-profit tourism business.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Well,
What's your other question?
no, I'm gonna make a scheduled appointment with you. We're gonna explore some things. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a general question. Are
Sure.
you accepting uh clients in the future, or do you have specials
What
for
kind of,
setting up first, like complete soup to nuts, setting up your foundation or your
well, maybe
nonprofit?
you saw it. Normally, and I hate to say it, there's some people on that have paid my full rate, but we're actually running the not for 20 for this special. Our nonprofit service is $1,500.
For beginning
And
to end?
and Natalie, you know that is sorry, Natalie, but yeah, it's normally $4,000, and sometimes we run it for 3,500, but the full rate is 6,500, and we're offering it for 1,500.
That's a deal, guys. I'm telling y'all, y'all better grab it up. Trust me. Matter of fact, my sister's online. You heard that, Rhonda.
What does that entail? What does that entail, Sherita?
It's the 3 months of business coaching. It's me doing your complete tax exempt status. It's your budgeting. It's your grant workshops that we do. It's just an amazing special that we're running because of some other sponsorship that I received to do some other things since I'm running my campaign. And so we just ran it last week. Matter of fact, I'm taking 2 more clients. We just signed on Bootsy Collins' wife, Patty, for this special. So we have 2 spaces left. So
Well,
the
It's worth
I
it.
want one
Federal
of them.
and state.
I want one of those spaces.
Yep.
catch, you guys,
I
I'm
got
telling
one of the spaces.
is that this special was expiring on December 1st.
Mm.
That's
Now,
today.
if you are, I'll send it to everyone that registered today. And I have a meeting tomorrow after my one-on-one training. Oh, if any of you also, I have the grant writing one-on-one tomorrow. If you've got a group that would like to go more in depth in grant writing, up to 5 people can attend the class for $175.
That's good.
And that's normal, and the rate is $99. Let's see, let me go and show this.
Jackie, it's worth it because people forget about the state, federal, and the local governments when they're dealing with 501c3s and that you have to cover. So we covered everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Natalie, I need your phone number, Natalie.
And that's why I do this as a 3-month contract, because I want to train you on, I'm trying to get back over you guys to my other screen. I want to train you on nonprofit management. I train your board. And so you guys see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so this is the special, and if I'm not mistaken, it is, uh-oh. Let's see. Where's that special? Camping. Not that one. Yeah, I may have to send it out to you guys. I put it on the, if I'm not mistaken, I put it on my Facebook. Where is it? Where is it? I'm sorry, guys, my screen's moving slow.
Natalie, I just sent my email. I got it. Oh, I see it.
Oh, okay. Now this one is the group rate for the 175. And I will send this to you in case you know anyone that wants to attend that tomorrow. That averages to be about $30 or $35 a person instead of the 99. And the, let's see, where's yeah, that was the Black Friday. So it's, you're saving 5,000, and it's the 24th. Well, I'll extend that. I can extend that. So if anyone is interested in this, I will also send this to you. And you can let me know if you're interested in that. Okay. Any other questions? I'm checking to see, are there any questions? Let's see.
I think Rhonda had a
Natalie,
question.
you put your info in the, and you guys have shared information. Okay. Rhonda, I have a high performance surf fitness for Black girls and women also. Can I expand my mission statement to include other services? Oh, absolutely. The same way the YMCA expanded their services, you can always expand your services that you offer. You're not locked in unless you develop like a housing nonprofit. And that's all that you said you were going to do under your 501c3. And now you want to teach auto mechanics. You've got to amend, because you're gonna have to amend your articles of incorporation, because it probably just said that. And so, but again, an amendment is easy, and you can offer additional programs and services.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, you guys, I want to thank you for being on. And if you have any other questions, now, also throughout the month, I definitely am going to go on and continue these, especially at the start of the new year. So I'll be on the first Friday in January. And if you have any questions, write them down. Go on and enroll, and send them to me, because the sooner I get the questions, you know, as you can see, we have to do some research. And so I don't want to do it at the last minute. A lot of times I may not have the opportunity, and it kind of pushes Veronica too, if she has to do some last minute research for me. So I want to thank all of you, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. If you're ever coming this way to Arkansas, stop through, see me and the Barnyard Crew.
Oh, supervisor.
And, oh, she's right here, over there asleep. He's right here. Ali is over on this side. Joy's on this side. They both are listening. They can literally tell when I get off. And, you know, I'll say, okay, well, I'll see you guys later. And then they both are stretching like, okay, it's time to go outside, you know. So I thank you so, so much. Feel free to share the recording when I send it to you. I encourage it, so that, and I hope that I answered everyone's questions. And
Sherita,
yes, Mike. Hi.
will you share everybody's contact that's on the session today?
Well, I can ask permission. So what I'll do is, when I send the recap.
Well, hey, wait, whoa. Let me make it simple. Jackie, can you contact me? I have a travel scenario for you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I put my email in the chat already. Do you see it?
I do not.
Okay, I'll send it again.
It's yeah, it's there, JackieTours@gmail.com.
Right,
Okay.
JACQUIE tours jackitours@gmail.com, Jackie Tours. And just to simplify it, my phone number is 757-418-0213.
Sorry, Sherita, thank you.
No, that's fine. I love it that, that people want to be in touch. And so again, if you guys end up wanting to be in touch with everyone that had enrolled, just request it, and I can always ask when I send out the recap. And somebody that may not want their info given out, they would just say no, and I would just take them off the database. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Sherita.
holiday season. Talk
Bye.
soon.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye.
Bye.